Welcome back, Focus Learners. We are jumping right into this week's explainer covering episode 297, the AI, Privacy, and Security Weekly Update for the week ending June 23rd, 2026. Honestly, if you felt like the technology landscape was just spinning completely out of control this week, you are definitely not alone. Today, we are taking a structured macro to micro journey through the week's most critical tech shifts. We're going to start all the way up at global geopolitics and work our way right down to the smartphones sitting in your pocket. Whether you're a seasoned IT specialist or just a layperson trying to navigate our rapidly changing digital world, I promise you there is something highly applicable to your life in today's breakdown.
Does anyone know what to believe? And are we being bullied based on bad vibes? Seriously, that is a real direct quote from an internal employee chat over at Anthropic this week. This massive internal chaos was sparked by a totally unprecedented U.S. government order. The administration gave Anthropic less than 90 minutes, literally an hour and a half, to completely disable foreign access to its most powerful AI models, Fable 5 and Mythos 5. They cited national security concerns and a supposed vulnerability. The official messaging shifted wildly, leaving employees completely in the dark, managers totally scrambling, and the entire tech world just watching in shock.
Okay, let's dive into this. Our agenda for mapping this week's chaotic news cycle is 1. Government rules and precedents. 2. The new cybersecurity battlegrounds. 3. Hardware and infrastructure shifts. And 4. Consumer AI and personal privacy.
Starting off with Section 1, Government Rules and Precedents, the shifting global rules of AI.
To really understand that 90-minute shutdown order, we have to look at the deeper backstory, because it didn't just happen overnight. Back in month 1, Anthropic actually refused a Department of Defense demand. The DoD wanted to remove human oversight requirements from a military AI contract for fully autonomous lethal decision-making. Anthropic said no. Following that refusal, in month 2, the DoD officially labeled Anthropic a supply chain risk. And then, in month 3, boom, we get this unilateral 90-minute shutdown. Now, dozens of cybersecurity veterans are actively protesting this ban. They are arguing that restricting access to these advanced models actually disarms the good guys, the defenders who use the AI to find software vulnerabilities while leaving the attackers completely untouched.
And it's not just the White House making these sweeping moves. In the U.S., Senator Bernie Sanders introduced a massive plan for a $7 trillion sovereign wealth fund. This would require major AI companies to transfer 50% of their stock to public ownership to fund a $1,000 dividend for citizens. Meanwhile, California's billionaire tax has officially made the ballot, and that's despite an $82 million opposition campaign from tech moguls. Then you look over at China, and Beijing has implemented an incredibly strict drone ban. You now need government approval, exams, and in-person repairs just to fly a consumer drone. What all of this brilliantly illustrates is that governments worldwide are aggressively moving to control both AI's massive economic upside and its vast surveillance potential.
So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is this. Political risk is now a mandatory feature of your technology stack. Whether you are an enterprise IT leader relying on cloud AI models or an everyday investor tracking these tech giants, you absolutely must factor government interventions, unilateral shutdowns, and massive regulatory shifts into your operational planning. The rules of the road are literally being rewritten in real time.
Moving right along to Section 2, the new cybersecurity battlegrounds, exploits, ignored flaws, and corporate hacks.
So, there's this new flaw dubbed config confusion. Security researcher Justin O'Leary found a privilege escalation vulnerability in Google Cloud that allows a basic, low-level user to become a full organization owner with just a few lines of code. It's a massive deal. Google initially praised the find, they gave it the highest priority rating, and told them to expect a bounty. But then, days later, an automated bot reversed the decision, denied the bounty entirely, and as of right now, it has been left unpatched for nearly 3 months. This sends a seriously chilling message to the independent security researchers who basically serve as the internet's early warning system.
And the threats aren't just hovering in the cloud. There is a critical number you need to be aware of, 7.8. That is the severity score for an unpatched zero-day vulnerability in Microsoft's Windows Defender called Rogue Planet. A 7.8 is incredibly high. This exploit allows a local attacker to gain the highest possible administrative control over a machine. And what makes this so incredibly alarming is that the exploit works even if real-time protection is disabled or running in passive mode.
The nature of the hacks themselves is evolving really fast, too. Pharmaceutical giant Novo Nordisk just suffered a massive breach where the cyber extortion group FulcrumSec stole 1.3 terabytes of data. But here is the wild part. They didn't just steal regular data, They specifically targeted and stole Novo Nordisk's proprietary internal AI models. So AI is clearly the target, but AI is also the weapon. U.S. authorities recently dismantled a Chinese intelligence operation that used AI-generated profile photos on LinkedIn to pose as fake recruiters. They were tricking cleared professionals into handing over sensitive classified research. We are now seeing AI woven into absolutely every layer of modern espionage.
Here is your upshot for the security segment. Defenders are operating at a structural disadvantage right now, and everyday tools are the new espionage front line. For the IT specialists out there, this means your internal AI models need the exact same rigorous protection as your financial systems. For the layperson, this means those unexpected online job offers and routine software environments require extreme, skeptical vigilance right now.
Let's shift gears to Section 3, Hardware and Infrastructure Shifts, the physical cost of the AI boom.
The chaos happening in enterprise infrastructure is just staggering right now. Tesco, for example, is right in the middle of a frantic, high-risk emergency migration of 40,000 server workloads. Why? Because Broadcom acquired VMware and effectively canceled their perpetual licenses. Meanwhile, Amazon is launching AWS Context, which is this ambitious new tool to give AI agents organizational memory by mapping complex knowledge graphs across fragmented enterprise data. But bridging all of this massive computing demand is an absolute crisis in AI memory manufacturing.
The core of the problem is basically a direct collision. On one side, you have traditional consumer memory demand, and on the other, you have this new, totally insatiable AI data center memory demand. Chip makers are simply redirecting their manufacturing lines to produce the high-margin, high-bandwidth server components that AI needs, which is completely starving consumer device manufacturers of affordable chips.
And this memory crisis translates directly into consumer impact. Global smartphone shipments are expected to shrink by 15% this year. The parts to build them are simply vanishing. Apple CEO Tim Cook even warned of a 100-year flood in chip shortages. And analysts are estimating this will result in a massive price hike. We are talking potentially up to $270 extra just for the upcoming iPhone 18 Pro.
But, we have to balance this hardware panic with some of the incredible innovation happening right now. To feed AI's massive power demands, General Motors is making a really surprising pivot. They are building massive sodium-ion batteries specifically for grid storage, and they're proposing we use the nation's electric vehicles as a mobile power grid. On the manufacturing side, startups are literally using 3D printing to create structural batteries that increase drone energy density by 35%. And out in the research labs, scientists have discovered the mammalian brain might use 200 millisecond timing cycles for learning, rather than the computationally heavy trial and error processing we use in AI today. That could even eventually lead to a whole new generation of ultra-efficient brain-like neuromorphic chips.
So here is the big upshot to take away from these hardware shifts. The intense compute hunger of AI infrastructure is being directly subsidized by your next device purchase. My honest advice to you, if you need a new phone or a laptop in the next year, buy it right now, before these AI hardware demands inflate consumer prices any further.
Finally, we reach Section 4, Consumer AI and Personal Privacy, blurring the line between human and machine.
First, we have to talk about what you are actually seeing online when you scroll. Recent data from Kapwing is super alarming. When a brand new account logs into TikTok, roughly 60% of their feed is now completely dominated by AI slop. We're talking low-quality, automated, synthetic media designed purely to capture attention. That is compared to about 21% on YouTube Shorts, and it's exceptionally prevalent in children's content. The first impressions on these massive platforms are increasingly non-human. And AI is being integrated natively into pretty much everything else, too. The new Android 17 update weaves generative media tools like Gemini Omni directly into the operating system, though thankfully, they paired it with tighter location privacy controls. Adobe Firefly has evolved from a simple image generator into a powerhouse platform that can automatically generate entire brand identity kits across their software suite. At the exact same time, we have massive legal fights brewing. Meta is currently lobbying Congress for immunity from civil lawsuits regarding algorithmic child harm. And on the labor front, Jeff Bezos is completely flipping the traditional narrative. He optimistically predicts that AI will expand the economy so much it will actually cause human labor shortages, rather than mass unemployment.
But, okay, here is arguably the most shocking industry pivot of the entire week. Midjourney, the company famous for AI-generated art, is pivoting into physical healthcare.
They are developing this wild water immersion ultrasound technology that utilizes 358,000 tiny transducers to perform a complete, full-body medical scan in just 60 seconds. They plan to roll this out as wellness spas in San Francisco by late 2027. It's incredibly futuristic, sure, but it completely skips over the massive privacy discussion. How will this highly sensitive internal organ data be stored? Who has access to it? And more importantly, will it be used to train future AI models?
Which leaves us with one massive final question to wrap up today's explainer. Are you willing to trade data on your internal organs for the ultimate AI convenience? From government shutdowns to memory chip shortages, AI is reshaping absolutely every corner of our world. But the ultimate cost might just be the most intimate data we have. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's breakdown. Keep learning, stay vigilant, and I'll see you in the next explainer.